Garth, otherwise known as Big G.
My name is Richie Blackford.
Mrs. Griffiths would have been very proud of our daughter, Marcia, even though she reluctantly allowed her into the music business. Marcia, when?
Yeah.
All we need to do is to recognize that if we put investment in, we are revitalizing communities. How we deal with small man? And so the sound system started to come up. The sound system was the small man entertainment.
Inimitable. Toots. Mr. Frederick Hibbert himself. And the Maytals.
His mother, Prince Buster, had his imprint all over it. You know? And
Sundays come here.
It's another Sunday, and today we are running another episode of Sunday Scoops. This week we're gonna do things a little bit differently. We must first of all apologize for my colleague Gart, who is running just a little bit behind on camera. We have in studio with us, beaming all the way from somewhere in the world. Lloyd Stanbury. Lloyd is a Jamaican national. Well, let me cut it short because you know if I go through Lloyd's bio at this rate, we're gonna be here all afternoon, and I think Lloyd only have about an hour that he's giving us of his precious time. But Lloyd is well known in the Jamaican music business. An attorney at law. We back in Jamaica, Lloyd is regarded as largely the center of the legal field when it comes to the business of entertainment. I remember years ago when I attempted to wet my feet in the music business, another attorney friend of mine, John Graham, made a point and said, if you're out to lose a whole heap of money, you can go in the music business. But remember one thing, you can't sue people who don't have the money, and most of the people who are in music, them not have money. So, you know, and I took his advice, and I decided, let me stay on the fringes. But Lloyd is an entertainment attorney and an artist manager, and Lloyd has represented some top artists, music producers, and corporations, artists such as Chronix, Protege, Assassin, and Agent Sasco, Supercat, Half Pint, Freddie McGregor, Lord of Mercy. He has represented almost everybody who is everybody in the Jamaican music industry. A man who, a KC man, let me make that abundantly clear, Fortis man, and a man who has made his bones in this entertainment industry. As I said before, his biography, we will get into that a little bit more. We're going to be joined by a couple of other people in the course of the next couple of minutes. But we wanted to have this discussion, which came largely out of a conversation we had on social media, where Lloyd had made posited the view that today there is no Jamaican ska band, and that tomorrow there will be no Jamaican reggae or dancehall band. Did I get that right, Mr. Stanbury?
Sort of. I was just trying to make a broader point, really. Although I did make reference to bands, but what I was trying to do is get us to look at what we have experienced over the years, you know, where we create things and then we seem to run away from the things that we create, you know. So I was just saying we created ska and other people took up the ska and ran with it, meaning today the Scatolites is the only representation that we can identify with as, you know, an entity that is continuing to play ska music. coming out of Jamaica. And I have to say coming out of Jamaica very guardedly, because the Scatolites, as it exists today, you know, is not even based in Jamaica.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's another conversation. Yeah. But what has happened is that we have created ska, we create reggae and dancehall. And today, the majority of bands, artists who are recording and performing ska are not from Jamaica. The vast majority. Yeah. And there's a trend now, well, not just now, but over the last few years, where in the USA, for example, the bands that are touring, the bands that are, and artists that are dominating the so-called charts that people look at, whether it be iTunes or Billboard reggae charts, are not from Jamaica. When you go to Europe, the bands that are on the festivals, majority of them are from Europe or other countries.
Right.
So there is a trend towards other people, more persons outside of Jamaica performing Jamaican created music genres than we have coming out of Jamaica. And if we are not careful, we could very well get to a point where we don't really have any bands playing reggae that are coming from Jamaica. It's not impossible because we don't have any bands playing ska. But ska strives, ska continues to thrive.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, as you made a statement, and again, this was a post that, I picked up, as a man who follow you, and you follow people who do good work. This was a discussion on your Facebook page. I just thought, just watching the responses, that this is a conversation that we really need to take to a bigger platform, somewhere where we can archive the information, where we can use it as we develop this conversation down the road. And just to make your point, to hammer home the point even more, I remember years ago, just before I left Jamaica, we had this Heineken Star Time program that used to be held. There was a venue in New Kingston, I remember correctly. And Derek Morgan was on one of those shows. And he, of course, Derek Morgan has his own side issues. But he talked about ska. Granted, his contribution that he was making was largely a ska contribution to the program that evening. And he talked about the disappearance of ska from the Jamaican landscape, and we're talking about, Lloyd, more than 20 years ago, right? And so when you raised this point the other day, I just realized, is an issue that really needs more significant ventilation. Derek Morgan talked about when going to Europe, which, just underlines your own point. He said you go to Europe and you have these shows in Europe where you're playing 10 bands, and they're ska bands. None of them come from Jamaica, right? They're playing to audiences that more than, 50, 60,000 people. So it's not that the genre has died. The question is, what are we doing in terms of preserving that which is ours? The same can be said to a similar extent about mentor music. Mentor would have been at, sort of at the starting point, if you will, with the exception of the Jolly Boys. And I think, and I go back on a personal note, back into my days working at Grace Kennedy in the hotel industry, where you had these community mentor bands who played at these hotels. From what I'm learning now, most of that entertainment is gone. The hotel, the owners of these properties have basically moved themselves away from what is the original Jamaican music. And so with them apart, nobody else is playing Mentor. I think the Jolly Boys, as I said earlier, and the same now can be said. I think they've lost some of their membership, and if I'm not mistaken, that band is almost now completely defunct. Ska is just Scatterlights, and what is ironic, Ska has its genesis. We're going back to the late 1950s, early 1960s, and the issue is, as you just pointed out, only the Scatterlights. Who else is there? What is happening in terms of our music industry that is putting us in this kind of position? And I think that's the conversation I'd like us to develop. I know we're going to be joined by Ibo we expect to be joined by Ibo in a little bit, and I think we would like to get from him what's happening at Edna Manley, because that is the Crucible. The original Crucible, though, is Alpha Boys School. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Alpha basically provided that training role.
Yeah, that is true. In terms of what to try to answer your question of what is happening in the music industry that is causing this. There are a number of factors, I think, that are basically stifling, Jamaican performers, making it harder for them to compete with other persons who are doing basically the same thing that they're doing, playing music. Everybody is playing Jamaican music. It's not confined to Jamaicans anymore. But the playing field is not level. So you will find bands in the United States that play reggae. They have good investment behind them, money, so that they can acquire the things they need to acquire to do what they have to do, to tour.
Right.
They live in America, so they don't have the barrier of having to get a work permit. There are a number of things that stifle, is the word I prefer to use, the development of the artists that we create in Jamaica, who we are looking to continue to perform our indigenous genres. Yeah, so that's one factor that is preventing us from, allowing our artists to thrive, playing Jamaican music. A lot of artists also seem to think that they need to merge what they are doing along with other genres to gain more acceptability. That has always been a part of our music evolution or process, where we borrow and we listen to other people's music. So that's nothing new, really. But I think the main issue we're faced with is that it's hard for our artists to compete. Yeah? And our public has not been adequately informed about our musical history, so they don't appreciate. You don't know, then you can't really appreciate. We have not done a good job at informing, educating the public about the origins and the history of Jamaican music and how valuable it is. Most people in the hardcore Jamaican audience, which is where the initial support has to come from, they're not aware. We say things like there are hundreds of bands playing ska, and they think you're talking Greek. You tell them that the biggest reggae festivals are not in Jamaica, and they think you're crazy. But those are the realities that the average public in Jamaica are not aware of. So we need to educate the public, and we need to make it easier for artists to compete. And I think we will close the gap. If we fail to do those things, then maybe one day we're going to see other people playing reggae and other people doing dancehall and not us, because the music has gone way beyond Jamaica. and everybody wants it. And whoever can deliver it to them, they're going to take it from them. So if we are not equipping ourselves to deliver to that massive global market, others will deliver. And we will be just, yeah, it came from Jamaica. That's what we're going to hear.
You
I
as
hope
you make
not.
as you make that argument, Lloyd, because it's a real concern that, and I'm not as involved as somebody like yourself. You've been in this thing for decades, so you have watched the development, the transposition at all of the different levels. Education, because you hit a couple of points here. We just want to touch on each. The first one is education, because if your public don't know who or what you are, you have a problem, right? I think the average Jamaican think of Jamaican music as music that is played by, created by, and by Jamaicans, and not looking at the fact that what we now have, after 70 years, Jamaican music is an international music. It may have had its genesis back on the rock, but in terms of its consumption, it is being consumed by people all over the world. And as a consequence, the issue that you now have is because once it gets out there, people recognize the economic opportunities, which comes back to the second point that you raised, the economics. Once it gets out there, there are people out there who is looking at this thing for what it is. It's a business. For us, consuming music is entertainment. We go to a stage show, whatever, or however you consume music. It is for the viewer or the listener, entertainment. But for the people who are involved, it is a business. So it requires a whole investment approach. And the question is, how much are we prepared? To what degree are we prepared to put the kind of investment in that is going to be able to drive this thing? And then the second aspect of it is that legacy and how you manage that. Or the third aspect really is the legacy component and how we manage that legacy within not just the Jamaican sphere, but the global sphere. Because certainly, you made a point earlier, a lot of other bands are playing Jamaican music. I mean, I talk about ska alone. I mean, I'm listening to some bands coming out of Italy and Spain who playing some dub, and you have to kind of stop in your tracks and look at the composition of the members of the band to realize none of them don't look like me and you, and them they are from other countries, and they're doing a brute of a job in terms of what they're doing. So we are investing in giving away our own legacy. Now the other question is, how do we secure that in terms of what is the policy? Because the music comes under investment and industry. If you're looking for somewhere to be responsible for the creation of the policy framework, because what my sense is as a business person is if it has policy backing, it becomes bankable. It becomes easier for you to invite people to invest. And tell me if I'm wrong, right? Because it's the investment component that we're losing, which is why the point you raised, where all of these, the foundation of our music is disappearing from Jamaica. Back to you.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we have been talking about I'm going to take it to a broader level, our creative industries, not just music.
Right.
For decades now. The creative industries in terms of the world of economics is one of it's terminology that is relatively new, 20 odd, maybe 30 years. And the focus on creative industries has been a new one, so to speak. But Jamaica has been talking about this from day one. Jamaica didn't come late to the talking part of the process. We didn't come late. We have been there from very early.
Right.
But we haven't started the policy part. We're still talking.
Right.
So we haven't started to define and implement any real policy at a national level, in my view. Even though numerous documents, a lot of research has been done and proposals written, as to what this policy should look like from a national standpoint, a policy that incorporates government, the industry practitioners themselves, and the investment community, the private investment community. That doesn't exist in an implementation phase, as far as I'm aware. But a lot of paperwork has been shuffled all over the place in terms of what a national policy should look like for the creative industries in Jamaica. I've participated in several of those projects. Yeah, let me call them that.
Right.
Where research work has been done and representation made to the powers that be. So this is where we should go. Decades ago.
Yeah,
So you're right. That's what we need to have. We need to have that in place to address not just the domestic situation, but the whole global situation, because that is where we are competing in a global space.
Absolutely. As we think, I remember reading a policy paper or something that was put together somewhere around 1996, 97. And so to your point, we didn't just come into the talking part. We've been talking and writing down and writing papers on this thing forever. Bottom line is that none of it has translated into anything. No, I have to say this, Lloyd, because in addition to, the stuff we try to hammer out on a program like this, we always try to keep our listeners involved, and it's a music format show. We want to run a couple pieces of our early music, and we're going to come right back into the discussion. All right? We've been joined by the man of the Weasel Steel, Garth Hendricks, and Garth has a couple pieces lined up. We'll give me a couple of minutes and we come right back.
up and down. Oh, rock you would feel. Though you can feel what you have done to me. It's you, it's you, it's you. Yeah, yeah, it's you, it's you. I got to say, higher, 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 higher. Hey, little girl, you love me. Oh, baby, don't you know that I love you? Come on, come on, hear what I say. I got to say, higher, 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 higher. Hey, little girl, you love me. I'm a lonely boy looking the love of my own. Yeah, yeah, don't you know? It's you I am talking to. I got to say, higher, 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 higher. Hey, little girl, you love me.
You done stole my belongings and give to your Chinese man. God in heaven knows, He knows that you are wrong. Are you a Chinese man? Are you a black man? It don't need no eyeglass to see that your skin is black. Do you prefer your Chinese?
Well, that's just one of the nice little way we segue. I see we've been joined by Ibo Cooper.
Illustrious.
The illustrious Ibo Cooper, right? You know, I remember back in the day. But Ibo, in my books, I always did have a little grey hair from in the 70s, in it. So he's a man with time has been very, very nice.
Distinguished for a very long time.
Yes, a very distinguished look. But yes, so we have in our studio, if you're just joining us again, just want to welcome you all to Sunday Scoops, and Mr. Ibo Cooper want to use the opportunity as well to welcome you with us here this afternoon, sir. Lloyd, I've already welcomed you as a thing. We are addressing an issue, Ibo, that, you know, where are we going with our music? Am I correct there, Lloyd? In terms of, we agree that, yes, we own the music, ska, mentor, reggae, etc., but the disappearance of bands is an issue, one that you have raised. I'm getting a little signal here that we're close to a break. We want to have to kind of look after our sponsors, and we're going to ask you both to take this as soon as we get back here. But the question is, where are we going with our music? Lloyd raised the argument that today we have no ska bands. Pretty soon, if at the rate we're going, if I'm reading him correctly, we will have no reggae bands, we will have no dancehall bands. And I just want to clarify, Lloyd, did I get that correct?
Coming out of Jamaica.
Coming out of, yeah, well, we talk about
Coming
Jamaica.
out of Jamaica.
Absolutely. All right, let's run the break, come back, and then we want to bring in Ibo Cooper.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader, and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
What makes my heart beat? Finding myself on the sunny side of life, where I can surround myself with everything I want. What makes my heart beat? Trying new foods, created by people who are as excited to make it as I am to taste it. What makes my heart beat? Keeping a promise to myself and to the one who has my heart. Home is where the heart is. My heart says, Jamaica, heartbeat of the world. Let's go.
Jamaica, the home of authentic reggae music and reggae wear. Reggae wear, the gear for any occasion. Reggae wear, stylish. Reggae gear, fashionable. Authentic garments, the rhythm of Jamaica. Wrap yourself in the warmth of reggae wear. Get your reggae gear today. Visit www.yardmedia.com. Capture the rhythm of Jamaica in reggae wear. Vibrant colors for spring, summer, fall, and winter. Visit our website at www.yardmedia.com and get your reggae gear today. Okay, and we're back. And if you're just joining us, we have in studio with us entertainment attorney and artist manager, Mr. Lloyd Stanbury. And we're joined by Ibo Cooper, former founding member of Third World. To my knowledge, Ibo now spends his time sharpening the minds of our youngsters, some of them, that is, at the Edna Manley School for the Visual and Performing Arts. Ibo, welcome to Sunday Scoops.
Greetings. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
All right. Yeah, greetings. I want to say greetings to all of the listeners and viewers, and blessed.
Well, you know, Ibo, you have been, involved in the music industry. We go back almost 50 years. Whoa, it's almost 50 years. I can't believe it. It's such a long time. But we like to pride ourselves as Jamaicans that we own this music. And if we're not careful, it would appear that the music is getting away from us. In terms of the source, Jamaica, this is the issue that we taking the time to look at, is what is happening at the source, Jamaica, in terms of the creation of the unit, generally referred to the band, which is the center of the music. What's happening in Jamaica as far as that is concerned?
All right, I just want to make one correction quickly.
Yes, sir.
I don't have gray hair, white hair, or silver hair.
All right.
By virtue of the experience that I've gone into it, this is platinum.
Yes.
Okay.
I got it.
Right. Yeah, it's an expensive journey. You know what I mean?
Far. I agree with you. Platinum is right.
Yeah. Yes, a platinum. Yeah. So there's no me as a platinum dread. No, as the thing said, all the thing said is that plus I never had any. I believe it or not, I didn't have any of this in the 70s either. It never appeared until almost the 90s. Anyway, that's another matter.
Right.
So when you look at it now, I have now been at the Edna Manley College as a senior lecturer for 21 years.
Wow.
21 years. And 2 years ago, when they had the last Sumfest live, the last, before the COVID thing, so this was the last one on stage in Montego Bay.
Right.
I sat at the stage side, observing the show. And I was very proud, and I know it might sound like a beat in my own chest, but I was very proud to see all of my students coming on stage, either as headliners or performing with all of the big name artists. And I'm not talking about one or two.
Right.
These were, in other words, in a way, I have inadvertently created a whole new generation of players of instruments through that program. I am responsible for, I was brought there, I was asked to teach there, and I'll tell you why. I was brought there because the acting director at the time said to a student, who is Dan Drummond, now this is 20 odd years ago,
Wow.
And the student at a school of music in Jamaica had no idea. Okay? So you see how long your topic relevant?
Right.
All right. So the lady came to me and said, I need for you to teach here. So in that much as I have formal training and I play classical and read music and all of that and score and do orchestration and so on, I was brought to Edna Manley specifically to bring the knowledge of what we are talking about here to another generation.
Right.
I refused for a while. For a whole month, I tell the lady, no, my killer wouldn't know. Because I was wanting to do my own album, which I've just embarked on at this age, believe it or not. All these years I'm sitting there, everybody else singing.
Yeah.
So Stanley, hint, I need support. All right. So, so anyway, the long and the short of it is that I eventually went over there and stood in the room called Room 13, where that room. And I honestly had a Damascus moment. I stood there looking at the youths and thinking, my God, I am 48. My generation is still on the road, touring, making fame, making money, and nobody not passing on to these youths. And I looked at my own life and realized that if somebody had not made the sacrifice to pass on something to me, I would never have even been here.
There you go.
So I said yes. And when I say sacrifice, you don't want to know how much I was being paid. You don't want to know. I'm not even going to tell you.
Don't tell me.
Because it's interesting, our politicians. One of the gentlemen who went to school with me, who is now into politics big time, when he heard what I was getting paid, these are people who are supposed to care about the country, you know. When he heard what I was getting, when he heard what I was getting paid, him laugh and say, but me have them kind of money there dash way. I'm not joking. So again, knowing that I need support for my album, I called him and reminded him, and I will say that he went into his pocket and has given me some good support. That's an aside. But I had to shame him.
Right.
Because you see, I have been in touch with young Jamaica, hands-on, every day, for 21 years. And we can tell you what they are feeling and what they are going through. And I want to use your program, sir.
Yes, sir.
To encourage people to support the program. I'm going to call foundation. We talk about that later. To support the program. Because I have students, mainly boys too, who can get a gun now. It's a serious matter. It's a serious matter. We don't realize that the DON does not have a procurement procedure.
Right.
And the DON don't have any committee to answer to. Okay? So our procedures are slow compared to a gang procedure.
Wow.
So this is a youth now who does not want to be a gangster. Nobody's telling him or her, you know. He want to play keyboard and he want to play bass and drum of his own volition. That needs support. That's the answer to what we're going through. Because if you don't get that support, as many of them have not, they drop out and then go shoot people. So I was proud to sit down and look at the whole of Buju Banton band, and every one of them I'm a student. Chronics band, Coffee band, Warrior King, Rebel. You hear me?
Yes.
You listen to me? And them come and them give me trouble like all youths give me trouble, you know. But I sit down. What does that have to do with the question? I think the future is in good hands, but I am like a voice crying in the wilderness, and I know Mr. Stanbury has been another voice like mine, that the thing needs support from the incubation period. The raw material that we have with our young people is way ahead of the rest of the world, to the extent that in the 80s I wrote this in a letter to our Prime Minister at the time, Mr. Patterson. But we lose them. And England, whose popular music industry started at the same time as ours.
Right.
Yes, exactly the same time. And pound for pound don't have the talent we have, the raw material that we have. Because I taught in England, I'm saying, well, we're done with this. After a whole game, them can't play it. Come back to Jamaica and have some youth who can play. See, no. And I come back to Jamaica and I have youth who can play without a music lesson. Them sit in a church and watch somebody and learn it. That's a fantastic mind. But we're not analyzing that because of our colonial culture and how we approach education. I'm going to go down in all that. I hope you have time.
No, we have the time, man. Lloyd, you have the time, right?
Right. So basically, what happened now It's because
yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Right? Those young years when the human body said, let us make babies. Right? They get distracted and we lose that talent. Because after them go make them 2 baby mother, they want a food. So them are going to hustle or crime. Get me?
Yeah.
And so England produces Adele. Because Adele is not a bat up and catch. Adele is not a tasty contest winner.
Right.
Adele was groomed from a child. You get me?
Yes.
So I will go to the grave bawling out for an incubation support. It's 30,000 for a drum set. I don't want to tell you how much for a 9 or a Glock. I know you probably never know, so don't come so serious.
No, man, no. That's what
come serious.
We bring you on the show because we know you are the man. You are at the trough, so you see it, and that's why we want to use this program. Just as you said, there are a lot of people who watch this program.
Brethren, it reach a level. Here our music reach. We're talking about it. Me come plain and graphic. One of the biggest tune right now is a tune named Gunman Shift. It's not subtle. It is not subtle. And it's big among the youths. In other words, it's not even a little hide and listen tune, you know. The young DJ, them have to play that at the dance right now. You get me?
Yeah.
Okay, Gunman Shift. Well, listen to the lyrics. You know? Now, these things are getting support. They are getting promotion. You see me? So we need now to look at real music and talent. And I am still saying that education is a component to play. Because too many times we have the same old problems that we were having when I had no platinum. Right? So let us look now at ska. The Japanese have 20 at ska band. Lloyd is perfectly right. We could be losing the reggae bands. It's not the amount of players we have. You know. But what they did overseas was groom the bands in the territory so they can cut down on the airline costs and the other costs.
Yeah.
Okay. COVID is a reset because it now means that a lot of the way the business model was is changing. So we can still now go online and capture the international market without even go up on a plane. So we have encouraged the digital, we have encouraged proper use of the digital, and there are a lot of innovative Jamaicans. There is a Jamaican right now who has something similar to Spotify, but it is dedicated strictly to our music. That is the kind of thing we need. And age group don't matter because the man will invent that in my age group because we're creative. Creativity don't have no shelf life. Stanley still wicked in my mind as a liar. You get me?
Absolutely.
So we don't have to move over the old boy them if the young boy them not qualified. It must be the best person for the job. Right. Gender doesn't matter and age don't matter. We must put the best persons for the job in the job. We have a weakness as a people, like black people, or African people at home and abroad. We always have a weakness for history. We don't like to go back and lay down the tradition and the history. It's not going to hold back the people. But we take up the latest thing as it can and dash for the other thing. Style and fashion. Don't do that. Don't do that. I want to go further to say that there are very few black jazz bands in America, if you talk the reggae band thing. Most of the jazz players are not white. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
it's a thing. So that is yesterday, man, and we dashed and gone. No, we're not holding you back to yesterday, but you must still own it. So in my program, the first year students, the first year, have 1 whole year of mentor to dancehall. 1 year with me. They must know mentor to dancehall. Okay? Me carry them go way back to people like Alert BDC. Okay?
Yes, better says.
Carry them way back to the group we talk about Lebe. Okay? We come up through Scatterlights. Right? And we'll come up through the Rocksteady period. Toots, Babandi, the whole history of Mali. We'll come up through what is happening with reggae itself, how it developed, international when it bust, old school dancehall, and the modern day dancehall. That is the program. And them get graded and them have to play the music, not just listen to it. Right? We have to own it. And I tell them something that might make them uncomfortable. I said it is because we did not document our history at the time why Jesus became white. Them tell you, no, mine, you know, you can't come on the program, I'm a dangerous.
No, listen, I don't want you pull no punches. But since as you are on that topic, here's what we're going to do. You made a point about Don Drummond. You asked the man to tell you who Don Drummond was. Nobody, frightening, you know. As an old timer myself, I don't have the platinum because I kind of brush them off a little bit, but, you know, we're coming from the same thing. And then you talk about this Gunman tune. We're going to run 2 little pieces of music, and then we're going to come right back.
Yeah, but do, please.
Intellectual murder people edition. Cock and fire full of gun like Remington. Fully charge up, he got to kill a man. Ratty gang for me gang pussy run. In any old way that play.
Yeah, we wanted to touch a little piece of that particular song, but it's a little rough for the thing, right?
No, Bridget, you see, when you were going in, I was going to ask you, so no bother with this because I know it could cause bad enough.
Yeah, of course.
And what I'm saying is now the youth them, but the youth them numb to that. That's amusement.
You know, it's amazing.
Them don't hear it no way.
Yeah. Lloyd, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, you know, just to reinforce what Ibu said earlier, you know, about the work that he has put in at Edna Manley. You know, phenomenal work, you know. I never said it to him yet, you know, but that is his legacy. I love Third World, and it's my favorite reggae band of all time. But Ibu Cooper is what he has done at Edna Manley, you know, over the last 21 years. That is going to mark his name in history. Because, yes, the amount of musicians that have come out of the Edna Manley in the last 20 years is a phenomenal number, you know, but they struggle. They struggle. I know them. I don't know them as well as Ibu, but I see them out there, and they struggle. You know, they struggle to maintain, they struggle to compete, you know, and those are the issues that we need to address. You know, we need to follow up on all of that work that has been done at Edna Manley to create these great young musicians. They're struggling, a lot of them are, you know, and if that continues, they won't be able to continue to compete.
Lloyd, if I may.
Yeah.
And if there are any of the persons from the churches listening, a large contingent, if not the larger part of the recruitment, actually comes out of the churches. And One of the things that the churches don't like is when they go and play in what they call the secular bands. But what they don't understand is that the churches are not paying them well. One of my most devout Christian students, decent youth, good drummer, came to me almost in tears one day and said, after playing a convention, one whole day from morning till night, the pastor handed him 1,500 Jamaican dollars. I'm not joking. 1,500 Jamaican dollars. Now the pastor needs to understand how the youth feel when pastor take off in the SUV wearing an Armani suit.
And a
after
Rolex
giving
watch.
him that. You see me?
Yeah.
So the respect for the industry has to come. But I'm asking the industry now, if there are any industry people listening at home and abroad, we need now to start to respect ourselves, because a collective effort from this industry has not really happened properly. Again, Stanley has been at the helm of this, because we have an organization now named Jeria, and I'm going to give Stanley credit for something. Stanbury saw the need for awards, because year after year, people have tried all kind of awards, and it never happened properly. And he went of his own volition, not the government, and had some awards about 12 years ago at the arena, and set the pattern for what is now the Jeria Honor Awards every year, right? I want to thank the Chase Fund for funding it so that it keeps on going. But I can tell you right now that there are still obstacles in the way, coming from guess where? The government.
Garden house.
I mean, not care if them here.
We talk
because
because
we vote them in and we vote them out. So if them not come support the thing properly, and them can't bad man me have, because we're not afraid for death. No, what I'm saying is, why I'm telling you this is because I am encouraging the industry, therefore, to say, why should we be in the administration pocket when we have so much people that could support the team? And I know Stan have been trying to get that going. But that is the root of most of the problems. The unity that is necessary for every man who go up on a tour, take a $5 out of the tour money. You're little me say?
Yeah.
A $5 and the straight of the kitty.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go back to England. England have an arts council. You have the Brixton Academy and all of these places, which are funded and can produce Adele and Sam Smith. You understand, Mr. B?
Right.
We need that unity of support from the industry for itself, and we can turn things around. Because if a certain set of people in the industry say we are making a certain type of music, we're not fighting against somebody. I want everybody to understand. I'm not fighting against the brother who make gunmanship. I'm not fighting against him. That is his expression. But I want people to know that that expression is being seriously and heavily supported. And it gives the government and the police the excuse to say that the problem in Jamaica is the music industry. They use the worst aspects to typify all of us. Me not making no gunmanship tune. I'm afraid I'm a gangster. Right? I want a good, peaceful country.
Right.
Because our gangster, them not even sensible enough to do like what the gangster them do in New York. Gangster build New York, our gangster them take the champagne and wash car. You understand? Gangster build, no more than Bridget. Gangster build Chicago. You see, our gangster them now build nothing. You see. So we now fight against the man, and I try to preach some sense in them head.
Tear down.
Make them realize say, yeah, make them realize that unity is strength. They'll take a little money and I could do a thing.
You see, as I'm listening to you here, Ebo, one of the things we have been doing on this particular program, we started this program 2 years ago, and we recognize that here is a trumpet, if you will, a microphone that we can use to amplify the issue, not just the music, the history, but all aspects of the music, including, the contributions like you two guys have been making. I mean, between the two of you is almost 100 years of contribution to Jamaican music. The bottom line is, if we tune our microphones, we tune our amplifiers towards Bill. I think there's enough goodwill out there. We have the goodwill, and I think there is enough people out there that we just need to reach them, because I don't think it's an absence of money. It's an absence of being able to point the money in the right direction. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, my boss. You're perfectly right. You're perfectly right.
Right.
And so the positive people must stop sitting down and complaining about the negative people and just do something positive.
Absolutely.
All right. Example. During the days of apartheid, when Mandela was still in jail, Theodore was offered 1.5 million US to come to South Africa. Now, in those days, there was an international boycott on black artists going in there because it was seen as a support of apartheid. Okay?
Right.
So he refused. Now, please notice now, the people them couldn't find 1.5 million to try to seduce we, Johnny McCartney came and said what he's going to do is going to approach some African countries and see if we could go on an anti-apartheid tour. And he was wanting 10 countries to match the offer. So he wasn't asking one country to put up the 1.5, He was asking 10 countries to put up 150,000 each.
Right.
Yes. It was never forthcoming. So these are the kind of things. So we can't complain about weakness when we're weak, because the enemy is strong. You see, the enemy understand how to back up him thing. So that's what I'm saying. Now I want to go into the music now, which is the crux of the matter.
Well,
we need to understand that
people before you touch into the music, here's what we're gonna do, because we're gonna be up on a break and I don't want to interrupt you. So let us run a quick tune, go to the break, and then we're gonna bring you right back in.
Straight to the break.
Yeah. There we go.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader, and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
What makes my heart beat? Finding myself on the sunny side of life, where I can surround myself with everything I want. What makes my heart beat? Trying new foods, created by people who are as excited to make it as I am to taste it. What makes my heart beat? Keeping a promise to myself and to the one who has my heart. Home is where the heart is. My heart says Jamaica, heartbeat of the world. Let's go.
Jamaica, the home of authentic reggae music and reggae wear. Reggae wear, the gear for any occasion. Reggae wear, stylish. Reggae gear, fashionable. Authentic garments, the rhythm of Jamaica. Wrap yourself in the warmth of reggae wear. Get your reggae gear today. Visit www.yardmedia.com. Capture the rhythm of Jamaica in reggae wear. Vibrant colors for spring, summer, fall, and winter. Visit our website at www.yardmedia.com and get your reggae gear today.
Lego this your style. Lego this your style. I gave you love and I gave you money. Fancy clothes and jewelry. Suddenly you're behaving funny. And I don't like this misery. No, boy, cause I am not a man with a wicked intention. I am not a man where we suffer enough shame.
And again, for our listeners, we have in studio Lloyd Stanbury, entertainment attorney and artist manager. And of course, we have senior lecturer from the college, Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, Ibo Cooper, former member of the great Third World. And as I listened to that Third World song, Rhythm of Life, I remember a concert at Michael Teachers College. We had a power outage. I don't know if you remember that, Ibo. Big power outage, about an hour and a half. And Third World kept the audience going with some percussion music. As long as I live, I will never forget that. It would have been about 1977 or 78, I remember. They don't make me a liar for the years. But to your point, Ibo, you were gonna get back to the music, and that's where we wanna bring you back to. Ibo? All right, look like I'm taking a little break. Lloyd, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that we need to start considering, or more seriously considering, is what can we do, yeah, to provide a kind of support that we need for the musicians, the great musicians that we keep creating in Jamaica, and the energy that we need to sustain these music genres as viable music for our young musicians to play at home and abroad.
Right.
And I think basically what we need is to have more partnerships, partnerships within Jamaica, partnerships between persons inside of Jamaica and Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica who are outside of Jamaica. Yeah, because we're trying to make it viable, we have to be feasible within the global space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And partnerships is what would enable us to do that. Partnerships will enable us to capitalize on what is happening in the Latin American market when it comes to reggae and reggaeton and so on. That's the fastest growing music market in the world, Latin America. Yeah. So we have to find the right kind of partnerships that allow us us being musicians coming out of Jamaica to participate in those spaces more effectively. Latin America, North America, Europe, Africa. Yeah.
Right.
So that's where we have to put the focus now. How do we find the right kinds of partnerships to allow us to be competitive and to function and deliver our music in those spaces where people want the music? I mean, every time I talk about reggaeton, I get a slight headache, because the Latin music market is the fastest growing market in the world, primarily because of reggaeton. Yeah, that is what is driving the Latin music market.
But here's my question.
Yeah, so we need to look at these things and find ways to forge the right partnerships with, first and foremost, I would say, look to Jamaicans in the diaspora.
Right.
Because we're everywhere, to initiate those partnerships. But it shouldn't be confined to Jamaicans. The other thing with them called the metaverse, coming to you on the slang thing rhythm. Yeah, that's what I saw on Facebook. I saw it
this myself. Week. Yep, I saw that.
I saw the Facebook roll out this thing called the metaverse and Meta, and the slang thing rhythm promoting it.
So that tells you that we are actually there where the decisions are being considered, where the decisions are made. I mean, you can't get more top than Facebook or metaverse, if you think. You cannot get higher than that, can you? Or can you?
Yeah, so no, you can't. I'm just saying that we need to. I'm just saying that if you look to the some of the highest possible levels through which partnerships can come, the persons at that level. I mean, Richard Branson is no stranger to Jamaican music.
Yeah.
Neither is Mark Zuckerberg. Or else they wouldn't have Sling Ting launching the metaverse. I'm just saying that we need to find ways to do the right kinds of partnerships.
It's
to
interesting.
take us more effectively into the global market space.
Just to drive home that point, because it's quite interesting that while Zuckerberg rolls out metaverse on the back of a Sling Ting rhythm, the #1 movie in America today is The Harder They Fall, riding on the back of Dennis Brown's Promised Land. The title is drawn from another piece of Jamaican work of art, The Harder They Come. But it's driven on the, Dennis Brown's Promised Land is #1 tune on iTunes this week as a result of, and I'll tell you, I listened to when Dennis Brown crank up in the movie, me get goosebump. And I thought it was the biggest Jamaican tune in the entire production of that movie. I don't care about things. Not taking anything from Barrington Levy, but Barrington Levy had about 2 or 3 pieces in the movie. And of course, Coffee with the title song. So clearly, the people who can make these decisions, because that is a good example of partnership of sorts. And so it is that kind of, because we're already there, we're at the table. The point is, is it a case that we are unwilling to stake that claim, or we not having the best representation? I don't know. I'm putting the question back at you.
I think we need to respect we need to demonstrate more respect for what we have. Yeah. And I think we need to show that we understand the value of what we have. And we may find it easier to interact with the kind of partners that we are looking for. Because if we don't respect or show enough respect for our own, value our own, and in some instances act professionally enough, to foster and maintain business partnerships, then you might have a partnership, but it's going to be on the other person's terms. It might be a token partnership, for want of a better expression. As against a partnership where you come to the table and you are valued because you demonstrate respect for your own thing from the outset, and you act professionally. So we have to look at how we are representing ourselves, yes, but we need to forge the right kind of partnerships to allow us to provide the support that Ibo is talking about, that all of these great young musicians they need, because they're struggling, and I hope they don't go to the gun, as Ibo was saying, but they do struggle.
But like $1,500 after you play one whole day on a set with a drum. A drummer is it's arduous work, and $1,500 Jamaican can barely buy 2 tasty patty. Ibo is back with us. Ibo, your thoughts?
Greetings. Yes, I heard Lloyd what he was saying, and there are different levels of partnerships. Lloyd has been very instrumental in helping us with the kind of partnerships that he gets through the EU, through funding agencies like that. And on that level, we have to be very disciplined, as he said, because the terms of this type of agreement are very, very thorough in terms of how they ask you to account for their money.
Right.
And so, again, through organizations like Jerry and the JFM and so on, we encourage compliance. For a long time, people have been afraid of, meeting their taxes and other obligations and so on. But to deal with these kind of agencies where there is support, we have to get serious about the business part. That's what Mr. Stanbury is saying, and I fully support that. The other level now of support, which I was advocating, which I know he's advocating, I don't mean that either or, but is also the on the ground, that it comes back to the respect, on the ground, from the heart feeling that, okay, I'm in an industry. I can help this industry struggle. What we can go in my pocket and do. Because, again, I'm going to be great graphic. We're just asking you to give us the cost of a bottle of Hennessy. But you're definitely going to make the Hennessy happen. You know what I'm saying? Right? You see. And, all right, so if you did want 6 bottles of Hennessy and you buy 5, and give me 1 bottle of Hennessy money, we can help the youth.
That's an interesting take. In fact, in a place like Jamaica where a dance broke out every 5 minutes almost everywhere in the country, right? You if you do it the right way, you have to pay. I think you have to buy a license. That's how you go. You go to the police station, you get a license. You have to pay for the license. That's all. Then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm glad you went there too. I need to ask if there are any persons from our industry listening. I need to explain that sometimes we are also fighting against ourselves when we don't deal properly with the agencies that protect our interests. JCAP, for example, is to protect the songwriter's interest. The Jams is supposed to protect producers and, in short order, the persons who play on the records. I want to use those two.
Right.
They need to collect some money from promoters and persons who use music, because there's a job, hear the word I use, a job called songwriting, and that person needs to get paid. Piracy of CDs and DVDs. The police grab up a youth, the youth, we're struggling, youth, now, not illegal, Yes, you are. So what we need to do is find creative ways of formalizing these people into making them distribution channels. So, in those days, you can just go tape a thing or record a thing and just sell it. Because a man thing yourself. So we need to, we are more, we are up the road than where we were yesterday in terms of understanding intellectual property, but we still have a ways to go. And we have to keep on pushing that understanding at home and abroad, right? Because intellectual property is property. Your ideas is property. And so exploitation of your ideas need proper support. And the persons to know that, first of all, are the persons whose ideas they are. Because sometimes an artist might say, boy, we support better youth, no, fight against the youth, No, really, because the youth exploit you. And everybody ignorant, so everybody don't understand the thing. What we don't want to do, we don't want to lock up the youth, don't get me wrong, it's not about punishment. But we want everybody to understand the thing, so we can set it as a business.
So come back to education to some extent then.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's where the education comes in. Recently, one of my past students showed me a contract. And luckily, they are, this is one of the ones who will take advice. So I promise them every year that I am always here free of cost to help you to look at these things to make sure that it's a proper arrangement.
Right.
In this one, it's a young studio owner who likes the person's voice, and they got into some works and they now want to get into a contractual arrangement. But it's obvious to me that it's not even that the studio owner is trying to rip off the artist. It's that the studio owner don't know either.
Right. Don't know.
So I said to them, tell the person that I would like to meet with everybody and tell you how to get this arrangement properly structured. Because the little contract look like him not even downloaded from the internet. He downloaded from a comic book. I mean, You see, so you know, and that's it's not try rip off.
No, I get you
Just
completely.
don't know. See, so you know there are those things.
I think Ibo, I just want to interject here. The people who are involved, the artists, the musician, need to appreciate that they are involved, they are engaged in a knowledge-based, knowledge-driven industry. Because until you come to terms, you know, you can't just get up and go behind the steering wheel of a car and go drive it on the road. You need to learn how the road work and rare and thing. And the same thing applies to almost anything else where you do. And so,
well, boss, I'm glad you use that example because I tell them all the while that I do not want a man or a woman stand up over me in an operating theater with a scalpel in their hand and say, you want to see, you know, I just jay, you know. No, not work. You had better be to school. You had better be to school. Mr. Stanbury went to school for this. You see me, is his area of expertise. If I need to know something, I will make a phone call and say, Lloyd, how this go? Just like when I went to school for music. And if you want to know about C major 70 marks, me, I would go. You understand? And that is what we need to do now. We need to go to the people who know. And there are those of us who have the youths, them interest at heart. And sometimes them find out too late because them hungry and them run going to damage and then we are damage control. I will help, you know, but sometimes the damage is too much of a damage because there's a particular youth who came to me in tears, but the deal had already been done. They had signed the contract. And now the promoter owns all of their IP.
Wow.
Too late. Yeah, man, medicine after the funeral.
Wow.
Yeah, that point you're making there, you know, about understanding the investor or the promoter the producer not understanding, or the label, I didn't know what to call the person, not understanding. It's very important, you know, because music business is a very complex business, you know. It's not simple, you know, because when a record is made, there are so many persons who could have an interest in that one record.
Yes, sir.
And everybody's interest has to be protected. You have songwriter, you have musician who play, you have man who sing, yeah, and then you have other people who get involved, who distribute,
the marketing and
publish.
distribution, right?
Yeah, exactly. And all of those entities come together by way of some kind of an agreement. Yeah. So when you're investing in the music industry, it might seem like, you know, something that you can't figure out when you get deep into it. So you download a contract from a comic book, and it's crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because no, that's for real. And I've witnessed many cases where people get together and put something on paper to represent what they're trying to do, and it really needs expertise to look into it and say, no, you have to address it this particular way. So a lot of people who invest are timid because they don't understand the complexities of the music and entertainment industry. Yeah, and I think that holds back some persons, you know, because they want to understand and they want to be able to control and monitor and easily manage their money when they put it into something. And if you don't understand the rights of the producer different from the singer, different from the songwriter, you know, and why the promoter can't just turn on the camera and run the camera and then just go and put it on TV. There are so many issues to be considered when you're going to invest in the entertainment industry that deters some people, I think. Yeah, but it's just a matter of educating everyone, you know, and taking the time to show where there is value to be had from your investment down the road.
What would you say?
Find the right partners.
So much so that I want to just underscore that point, that today, when uploading to Instagram, Twitter, and so on is the order of the day, Mr. Stanbury's point is very key, because it can be a matter of 5 seconds you make a mistake with the iPhone.
Yeah.
I wanna just play devil's advocate here, because, you know, and Lloyd, your point is well made. The other side though is the people who are involved, that at the paying end, one of the arguments is that people don't want to pay for people things. And so you know, I mean, I'm a fine artist, you know, that you know, somebody called me in the morning to do a piece of work, and you say, this is where it's gonna run you, and then everybody wanna knock down your price, right? Isn't this one of the attitudinal aspects that is also killing the business? You don't wanna pay.
You mean, people pay for reggae. I'm going to just use reggae music.
Right.
Yeah. In terms of a performance. People are paying for reggae performances all over the world. People are paying for that.
Right.
And by people, I mean the promoter, the booking agent, and the man who walked through the door. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that if you were to look at North America, most of the money that is being paid and spent is being paid and spent in a space where the musicians are predominantly non-Jamaican musicians. But people are paying for the live reggae music experience. And so I don't think people who enjoy and want to consume reggae don't want to pay for it. In the wider music industry space, yes, we still have those who want it for free. Yeah?
Right.
Well, we'll always have those. But there are enough persons who value the music that they will pay to go to concerts. You know, they will subscribe to streaming platforms and they will select reggae as what they want to listen to. It's happening, you know, all over the world. So people will pay for it. It's good stuff. If it wasn't good stuff, it wouldn't survive and last so long. And other people wouldn't take it up and be playing it and performing it and making a good living from it. So there's value in what we have made.
All right. Well,
here's people are not afraid to pay for it.
Ebo had made a point at the beginning of this last half hour here about, you know, talking the music aspect. You, Lloyd, spoke to the economics, and in that little discussion we had on social media, a big part of what was coming out of it is the economics of the business. And Ebo too made the same point in terms of how you treat with the musicians, because them have to live. If them not live, out of what them doing, them are do something else that is not working in the best interest of the country. We wanna we have another 30 minutes to go. We wanna just look at that light. I'm glad that you never look at your watch so you realize that you run over the time you had budgeted. I really appreciate it. But this is a really serious topic. So what we wanna do, we wanna run 2 quick tunes, take the break, and then we wanna come back and look at those elements, and then how can we, you know, we who are involved in this discussion, who have access, you know, connection with other people, how we can bring them to the table so we can at least, let's feed the animal that Ebo has at Edna Manley. How can we feed that so it help with the developmental thing as we go forward? Let's run a couple quick tunes. We're gonna take the break and we come right back.
Come along, my brother, come along. Let us do the things we're supposed to do for our mother. Come along, my sister, come along too. But if we should live up in the live up in there. And if we should live up in the hills, and if we should live up in the hills, live up in the hills, and if we should live up in the hills, my brother, go to the river to carry the water. My sister wash up the dishes. shall not enter. These are all alone. We walk on a true monster, sipping from the cup of peace. Chant down a Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down a Babylon, chant down Babylon. Give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation.
There's all a land where wise and true men stand, sipping from the cup of peace. You chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader, and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
What makes my heart beat? Finding myself on the sunny side of life, where I can surround myself with everything I want. What makes my heart beat? Trying new foods, created by people who are as excited to make it as I am to taste it. What makes my heart beat? Keeping a promise to myself and to the one who has my heart. Home is where the heart is. My heart says Jamaica, heartbeat of the world. Let's go.
Jamaica, the home of authentic reggae music and reggae wear. Reggae wear, the gear for any occasion. Reggae wear, stylish. Reggae gear, fashionable. Authentic garments, the rhythm of Jamaica. Wrap yourself in the warmth of reggae wear. Get your reggae gear today. Visit www.yardmedia.com. Capture the rhythm of Jamaica in reggae wear. Vibrant colors for spring, summer, fall, and winter. Visit our website at www.yardmedia.com and get your reggae gear today. And we're back. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Sunday Scoops. We have with us in studio, we have Lloyd Stanbury, and entertainment attorney and artist manager. And let me not get into Lloyd's biography. We're going to be here forever. And we have on the other side, we have Ibo Cooper, educator. Ibo has been training the minds of our upcoming musicians, young musicians, for the past 21 years after having left Third World. And we want to just want to use the opportunity from a Sunday Scoops perspective to say thank you very much, guys, for your contribution and service. And thanks for the time that you've spent with us so far on Sunday Scoops. We covered a number of things. I know we would need several programs to be able to do this topic the kind of justice that we would hope. But having said that, we still have another 30 minutes. Ibo, you had some thoughts. I'm going to just throw this back to both yourself and Lloyd, because you guys are the experts and we want to hear from you. Ibo.
Okay, I want to update you on some positive things.
Yes.
The present, several administrations, and the good thing about this is that it has maintained through several administrations. So whatever government is in power for quite a long while now, we have had an entertainment advisory board. Mr. Stanbury sat on it in the early days. As a matter of fact, before it was even that, it was a creature of a group of people that were invited to Jam Pro. Stanbury, myself, Kingsley Cooper, Sandra Alcott, to name a few. And from those days, we sat down and actually hammered out an entertainment act, which 40 years later has still yet to be passed. But anyway, that's another matter. Wow. Yeah, it reached Parliament, but it's stuck. Yeah, but it's all right. We keep, there's some people, I like this. Look on the color of the hair. Anyway, so, but not to worry. Not to worry, you realize we don't give up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just saying though, that through the entertainment board, and in this present administration, with our Minister Babs Grange, we have been able to get the United Nations to make Kingston one of the creative cities of music. It's about 5 years ago, and that went well. So Kingston is now among a list of cities that are recognized by the UN as a creative city of music. We also achieved the inscription of reggae as intangible cultural heritage through UNESCO. That has been achieved. Now, that is key because you can't really actually protect a form or like that. So, for example, jazz, we know, came out of America, but everybody can play jazz. Get me?
Right.
So we have to realize now that everybody going to play reggae and everybody going to play ska, because when you do these things, they become your gift to the world. I can play high life and I'm not Nigerian. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So that is it. However, the inscription means that people have to recognize the origin. So recognizing, and the Jamaican is on it, recognizing Jamaican reggae as intangible cultural heritage. People can't get up now and say reggae started in France or it started in China. A similar thing was done years ago for tango in South America, and tango is inscribed between Uruguay and Argentina. Both of them claim it together. There are some other inscriptions in Cuba. You actually have even some festivals in Europe that are inscribed because they're attached to that country. You know?
Right.
So far we have had the Maroons inscribed, and we now have reggae inscribed. And I think there's a move afoot to make sure Rastafari gets inscribed also. Right? So those are some of the positive things. Appropriation, people have been arguing about it. I watched a movie recently called The Harder They Fall. And we really enjoyed the movie. And I love the fact that almost all the music
it's reggae
was Jamaican
music.
reggae and dancehall.
And dancehall, right.
Or influence.
I must tell the people that it hit me hard because I remember the days when those people would not have allowed us to do that. You see? So it becomes a situation where after a generation has passed.
Goosebump.
And so what we might have is what happened to Crete and Greece. We now speak of Greek culture. The culture was actually the Crete culture. And it's interesting because Crete was an island with a strong artistic culture. And they were south of Greece, and it became appropriated. Now, some years ago, the National Geographic said, not since the island of Crete has an island influenced the world like Jamaica. But if you look what is happening now, that a generation who created it is passing away, it is now slowly becoming American culture via hip hop. So what is happening here?
Yep.
right? Remember, we speak of Greek culture now, and the Cretans did start it. So when I look at this movie and I see Idris Elba now and I hear Barrington Lee, so well, look at now, father. Later on down the line, I guess Barrington Lee was an American artist.
And you hear that Dennis Brown too.
So, yeah. So we have to be very careful. There's a newspaper in Italy right now that is trying to say that Haile Selassie was originally a South Italian. So a lot of crazy things go on. No, Bridget, I say I research all of this stuff and not making it up. This is not for sensation. This is the world we live in. All right, so here's what we need to look at as a model. Beethoven is by no means a new artist. Beethoven is older than a whole artist. But Beethoven's music has been preserved in Germany to the extent that when we started to educate people in music in Jamaica, we would use their scripts.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That is excellent preservation of your culture. We can do that. I have started doing some of it already, and through the Jerry orchestration every year, for example, we have some scores and things. You get me? And more, it's not me alone, but people, young people can do them things so that it's preserved for posterity. These are some of the things we can do. Who is done drum and don't need to be a question down the line. Schools challenge quiz. Jamaica, where did reggae begin? The little girl answered Trinidad.
Oh,
the moderator said
remember
no.
That.
And then said to the other person, you want to take the question? The person said yes. The person said Barbados. See. So in a generation, we can lose the correct information. I think we call it history. Just correct information. And there are persons who will take it and make it their own. A gentleman used to come down here from England, stay in St. Elizabeth, listen to the people telling Duppy's story. Every year him come down and realize nobody was writing it. If you go into the bookshop now, there's a book entitled Duppy's Story, and he's the author. All the IP gone to him. But it's not even just the money. It's the fact that down the line, again, I go back to Jesus becoming white. People will tell lie later on. And take away your things.
And tell lie vision.
You see, good. In terms of the actual music now, we need to encourage people to remember that there was a generation, namely our generation, who actually danced to instrumental music. So we can still play an instrument. Dean Fraser is one of the last of that good breed now that is still playing an instrument with that level of virtuosity and can play a tune. Get me? Rap, hip hop, great. But we can't dash away the melody line because a guy a chat. It's just another aspect, right?
Right.
And I want to clarify something I said earlier about government. Life taught me not to think in terms of institutions. So let me remove that word where I said government, because it's not all of them. It's some of the functionaries. I give the government bad name. Some of them, right? We have no problem with the minister. And I'm not being coward or anything. I'm just saying that you have some people with them employ. No, you have some people that employ sometimes. We give them bad name. Right. And then we say government. So really and truly, there's a few functionaries. And we need to, however, know that the heads of these places now will hear us, the people, that when we complain, they investigate and fix it or get rid of. That is what I would need to see. And finally, from that aspect, in terms of the support needed for the institution, I would like to get with Mr. Stanbury and maybe yourself after the program, because we don't want to give out information that is incorrect.
Right. And
sort of structure how we can put something in place. So for future programs, we can load it up. Yeah.
Well, listen, I we would like to think from our little position here at Yard Media with this little program, Sunday Scoops, that we are trying to make our own contribution in terms of, preserving the information and recognizing those who have been involved in raising this thing up, this Jamaican music that, to a large extent we have started to take for granted, because it is out of the taking for granted of the music that this whole discussion emanated from. We, Lloyd made a point of, the ease with which we move to somebody else's, we take on somebody else's culture and we kind of throw away our own. The dynamic of music, though, is that you're always going to be influenced by what is operating, the environment that you're operating in. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to throw away that which you created. It is going to move over time, and so our role is, we want to start out here, and we believe that there's a whole heap more that we can get. So I'll be more than happy to connect with you after the program is over. I'm sure, Lloyd. But Lloyd, let me hear from you.
Yeah, well, I'm, glad to hear, as you outlined in the outset, that you archive the conversations that you have on the program, so that it can be used, and whatever information is generated from it can be useful. We've been talking about these issues forever, but we are now in a space where conversations we have don't have to stay in the room where the participants are. We are in an environment where we can keep the conversation going even beyond this meeting that we're having here. And I would hope that we can use these discussions online that are recorded to reach out to those persons that can facilitate the kinds of partnerships that we need, to start conversations with persons who are interested in supporting, including the persons in the industry, as Ibo pointed out, those who just spare, just buy one less bottle of Hennessy, and send that money to a foundation that's representing you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whoever it is, there are a number of partners that need to play their role. Industry people, government people, and people who want to invest in business. So we need to use these conversations to get to the ears of those persons and find a way to interest them in supporting, because it's support that is missing. And because there's lack of support, others are taking what we have created that is wanted all over the world, and they're doing fine.
Yeah.
So we just need to find ways to connect the persons who want to lend the support that is necessary.
I give
to
you
continue to grow this thing.
I'll share with you, because one of the things that gave birth to this idea, the whole Sunday Scoops thing we're doing here, my son, his friend was on his way back home to Jamaica from Japan, and they stopped here in Florida. And this was about 4 years ago. And so he brought him over to my house, and we were just talking generally about Jamaica and music and so on. And then he talked about his experience living in Japan for maybe 5 or 6 years prior. And while we were there talking about Jamaican music, he turned around and he said, that information that you guys have shared over the last hour, 2 hours, is information that people in Japan will pay a pile of money for. And the reason is because nobody else is doing it, and so we need to find a way to make, because the stories behind our music, it's not just the music alone, it's the stories behind the artist. What was the artist thinking? What is the primary driver? When you as a musician, Ibo, put your thoughts together and create a piece of music, what is driving that? What was the influence? And people are interested in that in as much as they are interested in the music that you're actually producing. And I think, if we were to consider ourselves as failing, that is where we fail. And so our job here is to try to make that right. I don't believe that the time is too late. It's never too late to get started. And so we're getting started. And what we'd love to do is to build on this relationship that we're forging right here. Your thoughts, Ibo?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because one, I want to discourage you from using the word little ever again as an adjective for your program.
Thank you, sir.
Right? No, seriously, no. Yeah, man. No, don't disrespect intended.
No,
it's a part of the colonial It's a part of the colonial programming, you know. Your program, at whatever level it is now, has the potential. Well, now it is worldwide, but it has the potential for mega worldwide. All right. So just grow and grow and grow with strength.
The metaverse.
And as you say, yeah, and as you said, you are archiving, and we need that all over the place. The more archives, the better, because not everybody will capture all the information, but we're gonna get information here and then. The other guy around the corner, we have some that we never have, right?
Right.
Purpose that in the future we don't make the mistakes we made in the past, and our generations to come, whose parents have probably never even met yet, will be confident in themselves. That is what has happened in the colonial period to this point. We achieved the end of slavery. We achieved political independence. Now we have to move on to sovereignty, confidence. We respecting who we are, how we think, and what we do on a global level, right? A concentration of people on a small island have outpunched their weight. I'm glad you use Shelly Ann in your thing, because Shelly and Hussein are templates. Shelly, Hussein, and Bob Marley are templates that everybody can follow.
Absolutely.
Don Drummond was one also, but he probably never got the recognition because of the period. Because you see playing Green Island, for example, in the background. These are original compositions. And I can tell you as a musician that in terms of the complexity of harmonies and so on, it is much more complex than a lot of what we were brought up to believe is big music. You know, many people don't realize how melodious Sean Paul is. Them just dance and him a DJ, but him very melodious.
There you go. Don Drummond, come to the, you know, as you mentioned, that this was regarded in his time. I can't remember who made that he would have been.
J.J. Johnson was the big man at the time, and Don was in the top 5.
He was among the
American
top 5 trombonists, best trombonists in the world. And we did that. We did that. Jamaica did that. You know,
yeah, but we did Ernie Ranglin too.
Say again, Lottie.
We did Ernie Ranglin. We did Ernie Ranglin too.
There you go. So we did that.
Monty Alexander.
We did that. And you know,
you see, and there's some people who don't remember, because the oldest butler, not Harold, not Leslie, I forget the big brother's name. He was one of the first Jamaicans to ever appear on the Ed Sullivan Show. Great pianist out of Jamaica.
We did that. So those stories, yes, we're keeping an eye on the future, but we want to know where we're coming from, because it is having an understanding of where you're coming from that makes the road that you're treading to the future. That's what gives you that surety, because those guys behind us did it, and they didn't have the tools where we have now. They never have.
That's key.
The navigation instrument and so on. They were going out and cutting road, and they've cut that road for us. So we did it, and that's what we want to think. I'm not one of them who believe that the music is going to leave us, because we did it. It's us. It's ours. What we need to do now is to take proper ownership.
The music isn't gonna leave us, you know. But I'm afraid that we might leave the music.
Serious thing. I want to advise the elders. I want to advise the elders of one thing. I am not a good old days person. You have to be very careful when you talk to young people and tell them about good old days.
Right.
Because you tend to put down their creativity and their era. Right?
Sure.
And nothing goes backwards. Sometimes some things come forward with a different flair.
Right.
But don't let them feel that, okay, so the scare era, boy, wicked us for dance all thing of foolishness. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is their expression in this time. Instruments are different. We're in the digital world now. We're using different technology. We're using Fruity Loops. We're using Pro Tools. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so we have to work with the different era. And things will change, because they themselves will also experience, some young people coming soon With a whole other thing. What R&B sound like now
It's
is
not
different to
started
Fats
out
Domino
as, yeah,
days.
absolutely.
No. So we have to be very open to those changes. But the thing is, it still comes from this experience and the little rock
There you go.
that give it the authenticity.
Well, you know, I again, the going forward, it's important that we understand where we're coming from. You made that point, Ebo. When Fats Domino play rock and play R&B, a lot of us who played music in Jamaica at them time, we used to mix it up and call it rock and roll as well. You know, but it's
Right.
R&B. R&B today, no so nowhere near what that was.
Different thing.
It's a completely different thing. The other thing too is, and you just outlined that,
But
instrumentation.
if I may say,
Yes.
yes.
No, go
All
ahead.
right, before I go, if I may say so though, I have respect Bruno Mars for it. He does it in a different flavor. But every now and then, he touch back old style
Right.
and get his flavor. But it's a respect, you know.
Yeah,
That kind of
is. I was
respect for
about
who
to
went
say that.
before.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But instrumentation now, instrumentation. One of the things that has seriously improved in Jamaica is music in church. If you have a church now, you don't have a band, you don't have a church. And I remember back in the day when church used to resist band. I remember back when the church them just started to get the band, we used to laugh after the church band. Them I said, boy, you're very basic. Now they are quite good players. So you still have the bass, you still have the guitar, you still have the drum, you still have your keyboard and your singers. Horn players. There's interestingly enough some nice programs coming from Western Jamaica out of St. James. I have a little genius right now in the second year, trombone player. I was like, wow, you trombone at this time? How come you not sing? And he can sing too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just have to sing. I'm just have to sing and play trombone. So don't you feel so this thing a loss? Some things remerge in a strange way. So and there's a young saxophonist also from St. James who was just finishing up his album. And I was in a studio listening to it and I was like, okay, this is good. Your age group making this kind of album, all right? You know what I mean? And so instrumentation will be there. Then, of course, you now have the inclusion of Pro Tools, Fruity Loops, digital production, Ableton, sampling and sequencing. It's another tool. It's just another tool.
Well, the history tells you, that every time our music changed, we changed mental to ska. What changes, instrumentation. That's what made the changes. We changed ska to rocksteady. Again, same thing. Reggae, same thing.
Yeah.
Instrumentation, the organ, the Fender bass.
Right.
The
And the echo units.
Echo units. So at every
Echo units
step
help to create dub.
of the change in terms of how our music has evolved, it is technology. And so by the same token, it is the same technology that is driving forward. And that is going to be responsible for the music that the next generation is going to be consuming down the road, Gentlemen, it has been...
And of course...
Yes.
Of course, how each generation also feels about the feel of the music. Because in the 80s, if you never had that drum machine sound, you weren't in vogue.
Absolutely.
And yet I saw my son laugh after it when they said sound as plastic. Because in a little while after that, they got fed up of it and wanted something else. And they went back to the drum set. The live drum set.
There you go. Well, listen, it has been a fantastic 2 hours. I am going to. We can't continue beyond this because we have somebody has lined up behind us. But Lloyd, before we go, your thoughts?
Also, anything new on Jariah?
Yeah, well, I think we need to, as I said earlier, try to find ways to, promote more partnerships, that will help us to support the music that we have created. And I think we need to find ways to tell our stories, our own stories, so that more people can be aware of where music is coming from and the value of the music. And telling our stories is a business venture.
Right.
You know, I mean, there are so many movies that could be made about Jamaican culture that would be viable all over the world because of how strong this culture is. That's how we can tell our stories, you know? So we need to tell our stories ourselves, and we need to forge the right kind of partnerships that allow us to support this musical and other culture that we have created. And as if we just embrace those two, you know, basic principles moving forward, yeah, we can turn things around, you know? But we have to support the music that we have created. We can't allow the musicians to be stifled out of existence.
There you go. Ibo, any thoughts, closing thoughts?
I think Lloyd has summed it up adequately. And I know he has spent, like myself, and sometimes together, a lifetime now trying to get the thing forward. And we are patient because we're still here.
All right, well, we're gonna try to continue this conversation off thing. We gotta go. It has been a wonderful exchange over the last 2 hours. And for those of you just joining us, you can always go back to Yard Media and pull this program up. It will be in the archives. You should be able to watch this in its entirety. Gentlemen, we're gonna have this conversation. We have each other's links, and we want to continue because I think we have opened a nice little door here. We're gonna continue. Again, Mr. Music Man, over to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bro.